Good afternoon, everybody. How you doing? It's wee Paddy from across the Shuck, and you're very, very welcome back to the channel. Well, we have touch of Le France. Don't speak French. Got kicked out the first day. Never went back again. So sorry, but a little bit of France. And a lot of the times when you hear France or you see the title France, we all think of this. And love it or hate it, this is one that a subscriber done for me. And I absolutely loved mine. I have one that I've had for 15 odd years. It's a number 6. This is a number 7, but he kindly done this all for me. Put that on the blades. I think it is beautiful, and that tree is just lovely in the background. It's a beautiful knife. They're a lovely looking knife. And they have a questionable blade steel, as in it doesn't last very long, but before I became a knife person, when I used to bushcraft and camp, I used one of these every single day in the camp. I used it multiple times. I used it as my food knife. I used it for small cutting tasks like, paracord and things like that. And I loved it. And it would have lasted me a couple of days out because the geometry, which is the thing that cuts, aligned with that just nearly... It's really just a zero grind you get on the blooming things, and they're just super. That's my opinion. Others vary wildly, but yes, that's what you normally hear. But I wanted to show you that there's other knives out there that are French that are beautiful. Some of them have flaws that, even when I've heard the reason why they're there, just can't get it together in my head that it makes any sense. But there you go. That's life. So while I'm putting that up there, please, because it's really important at the minute, YouTube are trying to get rid of us knife people. So we need subscribers. And we need subscribers so that they'll keep us relevant. Otherwise, they'll just not put our videos up. So please, like, subscribe, and comment. The subscribe thing is so important because 50% of you watching this video right now are not subscribed. So please do. It would mean the world to me. Doesn't cost you anything. It means YouTube will just put my video up to you whenever I put one out. So very important. Thank you so much if you do. And thank you so much if you don't. It's nice of you just to watch. Anyhow, let's get back to the French knives. I'm going to start small. This is a little knife that I got off Etsy. Wouldn't have paid much more than £10 for it. It's a little aluminium knife. Look at that. Look at the detail in that little knife. It's just a little pen knife, but it is beautiful. And it's actually made in France because, does it say it? No, it doesn't say it. This is a little pen blade, razor sharp, obviously carbon steel, just sharpens like a little razor. And so is the main blade. There's a nice edge on these. These, don't let little knives like these. I think people underestimate little knives. There's not much in my day that this little knife won't do. There really isn't. And it drops so easily back. Or if you carry one of these with you, perfect. The Victorinox sharpener, just perfect for these sort of knives. But there's not much in my day that this knife wouldn't do. And that's the honest truth. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are like me. But I love the detail on a little knife that I paid maybe £10 for. I wouldn't have paid much more than that for it. But it is beautiful. I've got new lighting, and I think it's really enhancing my close-ups. Let me know if you think so. I've been watching a while. I'm really, really pleased with it. So let me know if you can see any difference. I think that detail in the close-ups much better than it. You can even see the knurling in the background. So I'm really pleased with it. I think it really has made it. Because I know my phone was a good camera on it when I bought it. But I could never get these close-ups right. This is the best I've ever had. So, just a little pen knife, £10, £20, whatever I paid for it. But what a lovely little knife they have in your collection to put, like if you're going anywhere that are sheeple, they've got sheeple or you think they might be sheeple, why upset them? It doesn't do us any favours at all at the minute. So when you bring something like this out, if you're just going to cut a bit of string or open a wee box, this will do the job. Absolutely. This next one has one of those problems that a lot of knives have, and I left it because I had it all sharpened up yesterday ready to do this video. This was one of my steak knives. I've had that many different steak knives. This one's in carbon steel, and it's a lovely steak knife. It's in ram's horn. You can see that lovely translucence. Then it's not so good in the back. But this wasn't a deer knife. This wasn't a deer knife, but it's a pretty well made knife. There's a couple of little steps on it. I've got a little bit of gunge on there. I don't know what that was. I'll need to clean that off too. But it's a worker. Do you know what I mean? It is a worker. And it says on it France, and on the back it says XC75. And I think that's just like C75 carbon steel. That's what my thought is. This is an area, the acrylic area and the GR with a crown, an area in France, and this man's head is very famous because he's on a lot of the knives. But it's a lovely shape. It's an unusual shape, and it's a shape that I really do like. Like it's a Dino pattern. I don't know if you've seen. I have a couple of Dino pattern knives, high-end ones, and it's very similar to this shape, and I love them for the blade shape because it's got a point. It's got a little bit of a belly, so you know you can get down to cut a sandwich or whatever, and you're not wrecking the point. Lovely. I really do like it. And this knife, but the only thing with this knife, and I'm going to show you why it's so bad and why it is, well, I think I'm going to show you. Is it going to come up? Let me just see where it is. There we go. It's about here. So if you look there, you'll see it coming back at you. Can you see that little dot there? There's a little dot, and that's the blade shining back up now. Because when you close this knife, it slams shut and it rams into the back here. So what I'm just going to, I'll just show you what happens, and you can nearly hear it. Listen to this. Oh shit, I wish I hadn't done that. I'm going to have to redo that again. So watch this now. This is it after it's been done. Now, look, there you go. Can you see what was a little dot is now a big dot where it is slammed into that little bit there? And a lot of French knives have that. You actually have to break the knife and then hold it down to stop it from doing that. They reckon it gives the blade more length because it keeps the tip underneath. You're sharpening back here, but the tip stays down. I have not found any reason to believe that is a reasonable excuse. I mean, all you have to do is put a little stock pin at the back. And I think in this one, there actually is a little bump, but it's not good enough. You know, it just isn't good enough. Or you can lengthen this little bit here at the choil so that it does it. But apart from that, it is a fantastic knife. And it's more of a higher end labourer's knife to me. That's what I would think of it as. The ram's horn on one side is lovely, really nice. The other side, it's not ugly, but it's not as pretty as the front. I mean, but it's lovely and round. It's nice and wide, which I do like with the French knives. They usually have a lovely good, your finger sits lovely on it. It has a nice strong pull and a nice strong break, which I really like. And the steel is very much similar to our C70 that you would have on Arthur Wright knives, for example. But an everyday knife for work. I enjoy that. So it had a wee spell as my steak knife. It took over from this one, which is a more higher end knife. And this is a Lethers. And I don't know whether you've heard of Lethers before, but it is one of it's an area in France, and it actually has to be made in that area to get the Lethers. There you go. You can see La Chambrade. I don't do any French. But what a beautiful blade. Flat ground, absolutely beautifully ground. I have sharpened and put my edge in this. It was a bit thick at the tip, that's why you can see it a bit wider, and I did want it to have a point. But it is a beautiful, beautiful knife. I'm not sure what the steel in is. I have a funny feeling it's 12C27 or somewhere around that. It doesn't last for a long time, but it's a real good knife. You want a nice posh carry. It's a real beautiful knife. It takes an edge and it holds it much longer than this, for instance. But it is a beautiful knife, really well made. You even have the decoration on the back spring there, which I think is lovely. I really do like that. A lot of the French knives will have the big B here. But I quite like this, the simplicity, it's the straight lines. It's in buffalo horn. You can see it's a bit figured on that side, which is nice. You have that side is absolutely beautiful. That would have been a lovely show side. Where the show side, I mean, you can sort of see there is light and dark pieces in it, but it's not anywhere near. I can get that to you. It really, you can see it, but it's not as good as the back. But that happens with a lot of knives. It is a gorgeous knife, and this was my steak knife for the longest time as well. It was a beautiful, and I decided not to use it as a steak knife and rather have it as a carry knife because it is a beautiful knife. But it's the sort of knife you could take to a restaurant and bring out and eat your dinner with it. What is the length of the blade? I will just tell you. It is a good, let me see, it's a good 3 1/4 to the tip. Let me just say, it is, yeah, it's about 3 3/8 of a blade, and nearly all of that is cutting edge because this is the forward part, so there's not much difference. But lovely, not super thin, but thin enough to make it an amazing slicer. Even if it's just to peel your apple or whatever. It's sort of an executive knife, I would like to say, because it's a bit more upscaled than this. This is definitely what you would call a working knife. And this, I mean, just look at the difference in class between the two. I just think, you know, it's a great example of, you know, a working knife and a executive or gentleman's knife, steak knife, whatever you want to call it. But I've used this and really, really do love it. I really do. And I like this too, just as a beater. So I just wanted to show you 3 knives that you maybe mightn't have seen before. I mean, this one actually, this one is, I'm sure this one's legal. Let me just see where I am. No, well, it is legal. The blade is, no, it's not. I'm lying again. No, the blade is over 3 inches, so it's not legal to carry. But if you're going to a restaurant, there's a steak knife in your wife's handbag, you always pass it off to your wife. Women get away with it more, or they have easier jail time. I'm too pretty to go to jail, so always give it to your wife's handbag and carry it for a steak knife. Just a tip, one of those tips that you get often on YouTube. So there you go, everybody. Just an example. That isn't the only French knife in the world. They do make some beautiful patterns and design. I will get more of them. I genuinely will get more because I do like them in use, except for the ones that have this. It's a French design, and I can't. I understand about keeping the tip down, but I'll just bring the tip down if it comes above it. I don't want to have to keep sharpening a knife to get that tip. The tip is something that I use an awful lot in a knife, and I just don't understand why I'd want to blunt it like that. Do not. So if anybody has a real serious gem of why they do that, because I'm just not convinced with the reasons I've had, I think there's a place for people like that, and it's called a sanitarium. But there you go. I'm away. Au revoir. There you go. See, can't do it. Bye now. Have a great day.